What's up, guys? What's happening? Monday sessions. You guys already know. Y'all know how this goes. Y'all really know how this goes. Mondays are that day. You're here. This is the third time you hear from me today. So good to have you guys. Everyone that's here, always a pleasure. All right, so as we get things kicked off here, would love for you guys to just kind of share where you're coming from. If you have anything in mind, what the vibe is like today. But yes, we are officially live and ready to roll. So, all right, I'm gonna start this here in a couple minutes. Actually, I'll probably start this in maybe a minute or two. But yeah, good to have you guys. I'm gonna be diving into a few different things here. So we'll go over a little bit about fundamentals, right? What can we expect today for the week in general? We'll talk about indices, currencies. Y'all know the usual suspects here. But yeah, I want to for sure tackle on whatever you guys have in mind as well. I know we have a lot of different people from different parts of the world here, so I want to make sure I can give you guys some value. Okay, so let's see here. Who do we got live already? We got Carlos. What's up, Carlos? Seth. We got Juan. Amazing. Don't be shy, guys. Don't be shy. You can say hi. All right, so I'm gonna start sharing screen, and we're gonna dive right into it. Okay, so, and then I'll answer any questions, any trading related questions, and I am more than happy to answer. Let me just make sure that this screen is good here. All right, that looks good to me. Perfect. All right, guys, so welcome to this week's live stream here on YouTube. I do my best to host this session here every Monday, as long as I'm not traveling. As you guys, many of you know, I'm live Sunday through Friday. Sunday for psychology sessions, and then Monday through Friday I host Spanish and English New York session live stream where do analysis. I take trades live as well. So I do. Yeah, host this, basically what you guys are getting right now, I do every day, but during more active market conditions. But I like to host this session because I think there's a lot to learn from in general, and then there's some swing setups, there's some just kind of some macro things that we can look at here. There's some concepts that I can break down, any principles, strategies, etc. So yeah, that's a big reason why I like to host these as well. I know many of you are maybe not in position to invest in, more hands-on education, more custom stuff, and you got to be resourceful. You got to use what you got. So, if I can add and contribute to your progress, then I'm more than happy to do so. So, I'm gonna tackle on first an idea that I called out earlier this morning, and something that I was waiting for just throughout the week. The last couple months, but as we got closer here, I was, seeing if we were going to get here. I wasn't sure if we were going to get down to this level, but we did. And, some would consider this a bold idea, especially with this, falling knife mindset here. A lot of people historically fear taking a trade when there's so much momentum against it. So I'll talk about why I did have the conviction to do that. But yeah, so guys, welcome for everyone that's here. Appreciate everyone that's smashing that like button See, we have some new subscribers as well. So good stuff, guys. So yeah, let's dive into it. So I took a buy position here on USD CAD. We had, I think, about 9 pips stop on this idea. And not only did I go over this live, I also did share this on our Trade Ideas app. So you guys did get this, even if you weren't on the live stream and you're on the app. Obviously, you guys got access to this one. But I want to break down why. So what is it that I was looking for? What was the overall idea? Originally, I saw a nice little sweep of liquidity here. And actually, I'm going to dive into this and why I didn't end up taking a buy position over here and actually waited over here. So as price was kind of falling into this area here as the week started, as I looked at the other dollar pairs, USD CAD was just still way more, the dollar was just way more bearish with USD CAD specifically compared to everything else. So a lot of other pairs were starting to give some signs of reversal, and USD CAD just wasn't budging. So I waited it out, decided not to take a position here, even though we had seen a nice bearish push beforehand. So yeah, just kind of waited it out. And then, we end up getting some good movement. And so price ends up getting down to here. So I'm going to break down what I had seen before, what I had seen here in late March, and yeah, what the idea is now. So check this out. And yeah, guys, hey, feel very comfortable dropping a comment in here. Make yourself at home. Ask away. No question is a terrible question. So back in March, there was a bit of a curious price action over here. So I'm going to dive into that. And honestly, if it wasn't for having kind of seen this and lived this in the moment, I don't know if I would have spotted this. So it's not that I was digging in now and I was like, oh, look at this, setup, look at this idea. Not really. I just had this already marked up. So, showing up most weekdays, well, every weekday kind of, in this example, paid out, So what we saw happen was the following. We had some equal lows here during, this Wednesday, 13th of March. So retail buyers, you see them building up here. The market runs away. So retail buyers take the W there and the market moves. Then a week later, price reaches these areas again. So we see another wave of support building up here. The market starts to slow down and consolidate. And then finally, we get a nice push below this levels of support, and then last week. So we see a very intentional dip in price, which in my opinion liquidates buyers and then creates this rally. We see a bullish trend start to develop, and the market definitely unfolds. So as I go into smaller time frames, you guys can kind of see what I saw. And so again, I was looking at this in real time back in March. So marked it up, right? We see the market sweep these lows, create an imbalance, structure definitely goes bullish. And so we see then the market do something like this, where the market then starts to rally. I'll answer questions regarding Bitcoin here in a little bit. Zubai. So the market continues, and we just don't get back down to this area. We get close, but we don't quite get there. So at this point, when we get close, but we don't trigger it, I'm thinking to myself, maybe it's just not going to happen. And so fast forward to the present. Today, we see the market starts to consolidate. It's building up liquidity. So at this point, there's already some signs that the market could definitely clear some lows, and the market starts to work its way down. Now the dollar USD is just continuously pushing down, whereas only USD CAD was really this bearish. Everything else was kind of holding its ground. So at this point, I'm like, what? I think we are going to get down to this level. And so we do get down to this. And again, this is less than a 10 pip stop. So as soon as this gets into the zone, pull the trigger, 9 pip stop, and so our risk to reward was very favorable. The market goes basically a 3-to-1, and it plays right off into this area, starts to fill some of this imbalance. As you guys can see here, the market moves its way into where we have some traffic. When we have this downtrend, we start to chop our way down. So as soon as we get back up into where we don't really have imbalance anymore, we have a harder time breaking through this. So these are expected areas where price could slow down, maybe even reverse. So these are great places to pay yourself, right? So at this time, then we get the market to pull back again. Entry is still, risk free. There's, we pull back pretty close, but the price is able to hold, and we're back up to these areas once again. Not only that though, now we're definitely building up some more equal highs. So there's a lot of retail sells opening up here, as is there a kind of bullish trending environment here. So by the time the day closes, we close bullish relative to how the lows that we saw. So as you guys can see, the daily candle ends up just leaving a pretty decent wick and closes inside of the lows that it had seen in the past. So yeah, I mean, markets, this is looking good. Anyone here still in these USD CAD buys? I know I see that Juan Carlos said thank you for USD CAD, so it sounds like you took that setup. What's up, Lindsay? Oh, Lindsay on the YouTube stream. You just sat on the YouTube stream. Okay. I see y'all. What's up, Bitcoin? I'll look at Bitcoin here in a sec for sure. So anyways, that's the reason behind that trade, right? There was a open sell position that I had spotted since March, and came specifically to that area. And I don't think it's a coincidence that we had such a nice rejection. Like, do you think that this is coincidental that the market aggressively reverses right here? I don't think so. It doesn't, why would so much come in at that moment? So that's why, the way that I approach the market, that, it's not something special. It's not my strategy. It's just an approach. But it does look like money clearly comes in here to reverse, right? So good stuff. Looks like, let's say you got Marco, what's up? Carlos, Edgar still in there. Awesome. So it looks like a good amount of you guys took the setup. Good stuff. So, okay, where can this go? So for those of you that are in this, I think we easily tackle on to 1.35. I think we clear liquidity, get to these levels. There's also more liquidity set up over here at 1.35, 14, 15, 13. So there's just motive for price to come up to here. My target is going to be this area over here. So where we've seen some actual pretty strong levels of structure. This was the lower low, lower high, and I think we're now at a new lower low. So I think just getting into this area is very likely, and this would put me at a 12 risk reward. I'm not someone who just goes for long risk rewards just for the sake of looking cool. A lot of times I'm taking profit at 2R, 3R, 4R. It's usually based on technicals. In today's example, there's a few different factors that I am allowing myself to hold the trade a bit longer than usual. First factor is that we are at extremes. We are at we were literally seeing a play off of the beginning of quarter two. So this is a seasonal low, right? March 21st. That is the end and beginning, the end of winter, beginning of spring. So kind of seeing a spring at springtime prices, had to. But there's imbalance that we can tackle on. The risk reward is so tight. So 9 pips, making 1R per 9 pips is so fantastic, and it's rare. I have some sense of desire to swing this all the way back up to here. However, considering that we have there's a very, very strong structure down here. These levels I just don't know if we're going to tackle this on. We may come back here eventually, but I don't know if this is going to hold in time. So this could pull back, keep continuing its way down, and then we get back over here, in 2025 or something. So just to give you guys some context, like we saw prices over here in 2023, and then we didn't really get back to these levels until a year later. So just because we have this open here doesn't mean that it's got to happen right now. For all we know, this price could come back to open areas down here from earlier in the year first. So I don't have enough context to give that right now. So when we trade, it's a game of probabilities. That's all that we're doing here consistently. So what's likely to happen is the question, right? What do I have a good chance of seeing happen? And I think we have a good chance of seeing USD CAD up to here. And I think probabilities drop quite a bit, letting this thing run. So there's your breakdown of what I have so far with USD CAD. Now, I am going to look at a few different things for the remainder of this session. So I'll look at some other US dollar pairs. We're going to look at some indices, so fan favorites, US 30, NASDAQ, S&P. We'll look at gold, silver, oil, and then we'll have, I know we have a lot of desire to see crypto, some Bitcoin. So I'll definitely look at Bitcoin here soon. So someone asked here in the chat, and I appreciate the questions, back-to-back questions. So just curious if you see Bitcoin hitting 150 to 200K in 2025. I don't think it's out of reach. I don't think that's an outrageous number, but I'm not counting on it. So for example, I'm more responsive to kind of what the market's showing us rather than like hopefully we get there. So I think it's very possible. I think we're going to see those prices eventually regardless, but right now I don't think 150 is crazy. I think that is possible. But I do want to see how Bitcoin cracks these highs here soon and what that's going to look like. So I guess I'll just segue into Bitcoin now that we're talking about it over here, right? So, Bitcoin right now, we saw a nice little push to the upside, clears out some liquidity, and the market has kind of slowly worked its way down. Like it comes down, loses momentum, comes down, loses momentum, comes down, loses momentum. It's been really weird. This has been a very, very unusual price action. Like it just keeps losing momentum every time it drops. So I'm not really sure what this is up to. And right now we are feeling a bit more of an imbalance, and it's starting to play off of structure we've seen over here. So there's motive. There's motive for a price to liquidate these buys, retail buys here. There's definitely motive for that. But at the same time, sometimes the market doesn't need to tackle this on right away. So big picture though, I do think we clear the highs we've seen so far this year. I don't believe 73,600, 700. I don't think this is going to be the high of the year by any means. I do think we go well above this. So I do think we get into the 90K area for this year. That I do believe, but I'm really curious at what price does once it clears all-time highs. The market has moved sideways for a healthy 6 months. We've just crossed that 180-day marker. So the squeeze on this is absolutely epic. Like, for example, 2023, we saw the market squeeze from March to October, and that was a 220-day squeeze. So it's about an extra month. It squeezed for one more month. So this is basically was a 7-month squeeze, and then that led to an increase of 150% from here. So that's just from the highs. If we talk about the low end of things, we saw from the lows, price came up to make basically almost 200%. Not that that's going to happen, but if Bitcoin were to make a similar run again, that would, I wouldn't even have enough space here. That would take us into that, approaching that 150K territory if market were to do something similar after we saw a squeeze the way that we have seen. So I don't think, this is more volatile of a zone, but the concept is very similar. Like we saw a massive squeeze. Same thing here, right? We see the market squeeze for 9 months, right? The market squeezes here from June 2022 basically to March 2023. Very long squeeze. The market then, after that squeeze, pumps and does a 2x's, right? It squeezes again, similar situation. So time and time again, we are seeing these type of movements. So, when this bad boy squeezed, then, we see, even then, like after you see the market squeeze like this from what we saw for, 7 months or so, even the next move, even if you look at it like this on what it did before it ranged again, this was at least a 60-70% move. So even if we were to get that, right, even if we were to get the market to go into these areas, just 100% growth, I mean, is that terrible? If we see Bitcoin give us 100%, then we're going to see this go and hit closer to 100K. So I think 90 to 100K for this next leg would be fantastic. That's my perspective on this so far, and that is something that I could see happen to close out 2024. And with the impending political elections, I think that's going to make a big difference. So, for example, when we saw 2020 go down, obviously elections came through here in November, and then basically elections hit, and this just went running. So I think elections were the low, and then this thing just pumped. So then I think we had inauguration around these really choppy times, and then this thing really ran. So I think elections was November, I don't know if it was November 3rd or if it was November 10th, but basically the market ended up giving us, from that time, we then saw a 400% increase following that. I don't know if we're going to get that, but we saw it was a lot happens post-election. So I'd be curious to see where we're at with elections, like as elections are going down and we get to that Super Tuesday. We're really, realistically, guys, we're not that far away. I think we're like 70 days out, give or take, from elections. So will this take 70 days to break out of this? I mean, it's not out of the question. We've already been here for 6 months. What's another 2 months? So, yeah, that's my take right now with Bitcoin, crypto in general. Like, this is just a massive squeeze. It doesn't look like it as much, but it definitely is. So, a lot of retail sellers, a lot of retail sellers. Buyers have seen those liquidations more and more often. I don't see us getting below 49K again soon. I think that we can get below this area again after the cycle is done. That's my take. Do with that what you will. Cool. That's crypto. Bitcoin in general. Also remember, altcoins haven't even done their thing yet. So we haven't even broken all-time highs on altcoin market caps at all. So, okay, with that being said, let's switch gears again. We're going to switch markets, and let's dive into metals. Let's see what the metals are doing here. And who here trades gold or silver maybe every week? It's just a common thing to look at. A lot of people. right, constantly looking at metals. So someone asked, do you always wait that long to get the right entry, or do you have some other short-term entries? I mean, there's a certain setup that I look for consistently. I'm not trading off of like the daily or weekly time frame extremes. I'm not doing that. But there's like a specific setup that I look for. So hopefully that answers your question, Braulio. ¿Qué tal, David? What's up, Zoe? Thoughts on TON now after everything that happened? Telegram's coin. I think it's going to be fine. If anything, people will probably rally behind it, kind of like Sol. Sol took a massive hit. I'll show you this first because I think it's relevant. But, we saw... Let me delete some of this. We saw Sol lose a lot of momentum during... So here we had November. This is just price action. This is what just... Everything crypto died here. But then I think it was around this time. I don't remember when. And if anybody here has this, then you guys can let me know. But when was SBF... charged, or when was SBF arrested in the last couple of years, if you guys remember? So I think it was maybe January of 2023 or December of 2022. It might have been like December of 2022. So I believe that was the case. If anybody wants to let me know. So I think it was like right around... Was it this or no? It might have been. Honestly, I don't remember. I think it was like... I forgot what happened. But anyways, there was some negative connection to... I think it was maybe like November. I think it might have been this move from like 30 to like 12. Like this kind of drop. I think that happened, if I'm not mistaken, around that time. So you guys can let me know. But... big moves, and then either way, a lot of times these kind of movements, they need an excuse to have the market really suffer. So for example, Telegram's coin just had such an aggressive push. So for this to come back, maybe play into lower levels, into the fours, it's just not out of the question, right? This was such a hyperbolic move. This literally, you just saw so much go into this, and it went into the higher levels of market cap. So something like this, of course there was negative movement, and these things needed to get filled anyways. So I don't think this is going to just disappear. I don't believe that. I think that there's a lot working around it, and there's a lot of, honestly, positive narrative to the CEO getting arrested, because now it's like a war on censorship and freedom of speech and all that stuff. I don't know enough details to take a side, but I mean, nothing. Obviously, I don't think we need censorship in this world, but I don't have enough context, right? But Telegram, I don't think this coin's negatively going to... I don't think it's going to take a hit long term. I think this is just kind of taking short-term discounts for some long-term stuff, like long-term growth anyway. So I'm not too worried about it. Transparently, I don't have this in my portfolio, but I'm not against it. Do you think the war in the Middle East would have any effect on BTC hitting 150K? I think the war in the Middle East could trigger more involvement with bigger players. So the U.S. getting more directly involved, yes, that would have an influence on crypto. ¿Qué tal, Medellín? ¿Qué tal todos? What's up, guys? Your setup works for all time frames, right? Yeah, definitely works for all time frames. More precision helps. As you zoom into smaller time frames, you can just narrow down your risk to reward and all that good stuff. Okay, now officially going to metals. I don't think we mitigated gold here. So here we had a huge smart money sell-off, like a massive sell-off here, liquidating tons of buyers. the market then squeezes before giving us higher highs again. So seeing this happen in this method, this to me looks like still very much we need to close out sells in order for the market to for buys to be priced into this. So I do think we can still get into this area for gold and silver. Price got very close, but it missed this zone, and silver also did not get into this zone where these sells can be exchanged for buys. So I do think we end up getting back here at some point. With that being said, if a sell setup were to appear, I would definitely be down to take that to these levels. That's not there yet. So still waiting on that. And then silver also just not quite working its way down. It's done an excellent job working its way up and trading up into these areas here where we have seen imbalances left. So silver looking to get back near its highs of the year. So right now it's kind of fighting for that, whereas gold has already done that. So right now, patient with metals, not too much to do quite yet. So I'm not forcing anything, not forcing any buys, just taking my sweet time with any sort of positions here for sure. Yeah. So right now I'm patient with metals. I'm okay with staying out of the market, the metals market for now. An idea that I do see that was brought to my attention is something between, now I know there's different types of US dollar opportunities, but the big one that I see right now is USD CHF. USD CHF built up some resistance, retail sellers. We saw a nice sweep here. This is Friday's movement, clears out retail sellers, rebalances, prices are on here 0.8540 before the market just works its way down. But the best part is that the market not only gets below the previous low, but we are successfully trading down here. Price is very much so trading down here. This lower low is not to just entice sellers or trap buyers right away. This is for sure just establishing bearish structure. The market is definitely trading lower, and so the market coming up again would be a great reason to reposition into sell opportunities. So I do think we can see a USD CHF sell. And if we look at the news events that are coming up, we have the consumer confidence. So this is the conference board, and this here, they basically show kind of consumer spending. That's like the idea. They survey 3,000 households, which ask respondents to rate the relative level of current and future economic conditions, including labor availability, business conditions, and overall economic situation. This here, I think this is a weaker red folder news, so I don't expect too much of a crazy movement here. What I think is going to have the biggest effect are going to be the unemployment claims. I think the unemployment claims for this week are going to be very strong. It's going to create quite a bit of volatility, and the reason I believe that it comes back down to what Powell was saying at the Jackson Hole Symposium. He spoke about how inflation is not it's not something that they're too worried about anymore, which is kind of mental, to be honest, in my opinion. So the fact that he said that, I think, is crazy, but they're more so focused on the unemployment claims, because a lot of these numbers were just kind of twisted. NFP numbers apparently not what they thought they were. So I do think that this is going to be like the sentiment around unemployment claims, I think, is going to change, at least for the short term, and I think it'll be a very important news event. And I think that is, and we see unemployment claims basically, every Thursday. And so we're gearing up to see CPI in a couple weeks, and then ultimately seeing FOMC here middle of September. So this week, also remember guys, this week sets up the closing of a monthly candle. So by Friday, we will know exactly what the monthly candles are going to look like. So for these last couple of events, last couple of news events, these get to set the tone on how these candles close. Now, when I talk about what a candle can do, like what that means, it's not so much that because it engulfs in whatever ways it means that we're bullish or bearish. No, it sets the narrative. So there's a very intentional way of closing the month. These things, like everything creates meaning, or it creates not just meaning but an intention. So USD CHF clears the highs, works its way down. I think we could see a nice, at least a 4R here, based on how the market is setting up right now. Obviously this could change, but USD CHF looks clean to me. So here is the chart for you guys, and I'm gonna just pin this idea up at the top so you guys can have that. There you go. So that's just pinned at the top. This is an idea that I think can happen sometime this week, maybe tomorrow. Maybe we see this happen Thursday or Friday. Now, very weak in terms of fundamentals. Like you guys can see, there's not a lot of high impact news this week. Asian session, there's one high impact news, which is tomorrow for the Australian dollar. London session, relatively mellow with just Thursday and Fridays. And then even the dollar, like nothing too much happening. And so even though there's not a US dollar news, that doesn't take away what can happen with indices. Now, indices today were, spiked right into the all-time highs basically of US 30 before losing some momentum and just chopping up quite a bit. I was definitely waiting for price to get back to these areas, because we did see a nice swipe of the low before the market rallied. NASDAQ didn't quite reverse off of a zone that I had earlier, and it actually just chopped up here for the rest of the session. So more squeezing for NASDAQ. I think I'm going to be mindful of where price is at by the time US 30 reaches these levels. So I definitely want to see if we get to these zones for US 30. And a lot of us like to see what's in store. So for now, considering that US 30 is just holding down its bullish structure pretty well, I want to see buys over here. However, because the market spikes down and it does clear liquidity, but it ends up basically getting to more equal lows, I am very much concerned with this liquidity. And I want to see where NASDAQ is at when the market approaches this. So possibly looking for buys with US 30 under 40,900. Will depend on how it relates to NAS and S&P when the time comes. So staying mindful here so far with indices. I wouldn't be surprised if we go and we're tackling on all-time highs here soon. And then in regards to, just other currency, the other majors, against the dollar, market's pretty bullish. Market is pretty bullish. Like, we're just seeing everything work its way higher. I don't necessarily see opportunities for myself to position myself into buys, but right now it kind of looks like it's reaccumulating. So we shall see. Like AUD USD just cleared these lows, and then very, very quickly is possibly creating higher highs again. So AU, NGD USD similarly, Euro USD and GU didn't quite clear liquidity, so I'm not too focused on these. So again, a lot of squeezing, a lot of sideways movement for a lot of these majors, and I'm just waiting. So for me, it's and I'm very comfortable with this because 70% of my trades are basically just responding to what indices are doing after New York Open and kind of just playing off a small time frame. USD CAD did happen to play out today, but I definitely am more patient. I'm not more patient. I guess I wouldn't say I'm more patient. I just think that currencies give me opportunities less frequently than indices do, and that's because I like trading slightly higher time frame, 15-minute, 1 hour, 4 hour daily with currencies. I think they just have a higher win rate at these levels. What are my thoughts on EU? I'm leaning bullish from 50% and lover of previous week's range. Okay. From 50% of what? Like this zone, this range here? Or what are you thinking? The only thing that I don't really see too much of is I don't see much of I just don't see a lot of that smart money. Like I don't see big positions. It doesn't the market goes down a little bit and then runs, but I mean, I just don't see like that institutional money quite yet. So I'm okay with just kind of letting this do its thing. The one thing that I see with Euro USD is that it hasn't closed out these. There's a big buy up here on July of 2023. The market sweeps these highs and then comes crashing down. I'll show you guys what I'm looking at here. But basically, EU does one of these, clears the highs, worked its way lower. We didn't really close this out, so I mean, maybe we get back over here, but that's really it. Other than that, and even that is kind of a stretch, Euro is not something I'm very much interested in. There's liquidity for retail buyers and there's liquidity for retail sellers. So, it's just so much sideways movement. I'm okay with just kind of waiting it out here with the dollar. I think there's a lot of indecision. The last thing that is interesting to me is oil. Oh, also, if you guys were trading the dollar peso back to back, I mean, responded off of our zone super well. The buy here, this one was sad. This one missed me by a couple pips, and then a lot of great things have happened. Market pulled back, and we had another, sweep of liquidity, higher highs. Market comes to here, closes out the sell-off, plays off of previous structure, runs again. So great movement. And for those of you taking more so intra-week, intraday exits, imbalance fills for the exits are working out very great. So good stuff for those of you trading the peso. And then that puts us at U.S. oil. U.S. oil is the last of what I would be interested in here. In my opinion, I think we're seeing U.S. oil has successfully pushed this low since February. In June we got very low. Market started to pull some momentum. In early August, swept the low again, and then just last week we came down one more time and really got to the very, very, very extreme of February's price action before again rallying up quite a bit. Now we are seeing how every time price gets below 72.50, it just comes down and comes right back up, comes down and comes back up. And here, although the 4 hour is still not quite bullish, in my opinion, I think when we saw the price get and see this higher high, this is very brief and the market comes down again. So I'm not totally surprised that we went a little bit lower. I do think we can get to this area now that the week, these higher time frames have constantly been gutted. So this sweeps the lows again, and then now we are back up here. So I'm down to take a buy here on U.S. oil, and I definitely could see us working our way to just fill imbalance right around here at 82 again. this would give this over an 8 risk reward. So I'm gonna just be patient to play it out from up here. I don't necessarily see many sell opportunities. So if it does just come down, maybe it plays off of this move. But I'm okay with just waiting for the market to get over here to then take this to the upside. The benefits of my entry strategy is my trade management too. So once I get a good enough reversal, then I also move my stop to break even. So even if sometimes we reverse and it's not quite the full move and it comes back, but by then money is protected, so there's no worries. So US oil, also an idea that I do think we can get a nice swing idea. So this is one of those ideas that I think are easier for you guys to follow along with, because it's not a small time frame trade. This is something that I'm sure you'll have more than enough time to position yourself in. So US oil, I think, could be a pretty decent swing trade. And then that really is it for indices as well. I know some of you here have been kind of following along with some of the stocks ideas that I've shared here in the past. So if you guys have been following along, week to week, some of you I know really take advantage. Some of the ideas that I've sent or shared, whether it's here, my Telegram, my Instagram broadcast channel, just publishing on my personal trading view. Actually, I think I might have published one of these on my trading view. Shopify under $50. I shared this one here. Peloton also shared that in like July. Nike shared that in June under basically at $70. PayPal sent this in June as well. Damn, actually, I got some heat in here. All right. Word. Actually, let me check some of these out. So yeah, so I sent this PayPal one as well. This were entries at around under $60, and obviously, this was a video too. Oh, nice. So here we go, looking good. So for example, PayPal here was under 60 that I shared it, and we end up going. Where do we end up going with PayPal? Right now we're sitting at around 72. So PayPal sitting at a comfortable 22%. So that's looking good. If you want to join, there's a form. I have a form that you can fill out. It's in my description here. So fill that out, and then if you qualify, you'll hear back from me or from someone on my team. Because at the end of the day, also, guys, I do want to make sure that you're in just a good position to invest in your education. If you already are not financially stable, then I'd rather not take your money, to be honest. I'd rather you just get that figured out, and then once you're able to actually learn properly, then it just makes more sense, because you'll have a higher chance of success anyways. Because the last thing I want is for someone to start working with us and then just can barely hang on, and it's a lot of scarcity mindset, and I just want to work with people that are ready for it. So anyways, PayPal 21%. Peloton entries were under $3. So this one really ripped. We're sitting at well over 70% here as well. So that's crushing like crazy, honestly. Shopify was a banger. I've been waiting for this one. This one took a minute too. I waited all of 2024. We're sitting at about 50% up on that. Nike, I wanted under 70, so I wasn't fully positioned here, but this one's sitting at around a little under 19%. And then this one, shout out to Nancy, because her fascination with matcha lattes brought the attention to Starbucks price action. So Starbucks as well had a nice pump, and we caught this one for a little under 30%. We've taken advantage of GME. We've taken advantage of AMC stuff. AMC is still kind of slowly chilling here. We're still up a good 20% on this, even though nothing has really happened. And then for those of you that took McDonald's, this one was such a surprise. McDonald's idea is up 17%, and then just waiting on a couple other things that haven't really come into fruition quite yet. But when the time comes, the time comes. So a lot of these are for the long run. So someone said, Reed Z, thank you. I'm a recent subscriber and already can see there's a big value shared. I appreciate that. So yeah, guys, we'll leave it at that. Review this, watch this as many times as you want. Obviously, it's free. And then use this to help you figure out if you're someone who you want to day trade, if you're someone who maybe you just want to build a portfolio of crypto or maybe stocks, maybe you're into options, whatever it might be. But these are meant to just kind of help you learn, just at least how I look at the market, but also for you to understand, do you want to be doing things day to day? Do you want to be doing things over the long run, etc. I have some resources here for you guys in the description of this video as well. And then also something I'm super excited for is you guys should be seeing some form of content from us about our Tradetopia retreat. We hosted a traders retreat in Puerto Rico earlier this month, and it was epic. And Neri Banks has been working on the edit for us here, and it looks so dope. So you guys should be seeing that sometime in the near future. And so any kind of resources that I normally use, then feel free to check it out in the description. Something that is cool that I think is relevant to a lot of you is that Traders Connect, which is like a software that allows you to trade on one account, and then it'll duplicate it to other accounts. So they officially they now have their copy trader set up to go to TradeLocker, DXTrade from MetaTrader. So I think that's super cool because I know a lot of you guys are trading in different softwares and you have accounts in all these different places. So definitely check that out. Should be pretty useful to a lot of you. But anyways, next Monday, I'll be here live again in English. On Sundays I do Spanish ones, and then if you pray enough, I might just drop some sort of value that is actually produced and uploaded for you guys, but I won't guarantee it. But anyways, much love, you guys. I'll catch you guys next week, and for everyone that's a member, I will see you in tomorrow morning for all of New York session, literally every day. How do you still use MetaTrader? It depends on what broker you have. So yeah, that's what matters. So check that out. There's not a lot of brokers that allow you to use MetaTrader in the US. But good stuff, guys. I'll talk to y'all soon.